So we're going to start standing today. I'm going to stand towards this end of the mat so that I don't bang my hands on the lights. And I just have my block directly in front of my feet. I'll bring my feet together. So toes touch, heels just a little bit separated for Tadasana, mountain pose. And you have the palms facing forward. So give myself a little chance to open the shoulders out. I bend the knees a couple of times and just kind of wriggle through the hips until it feels like my legs and my spine and my feet have all kind of settled into place. And then if you wish to, you can close your eyes or you can keep them open. Just find what we call a drishti point, a focus point. Allow yourself to spread your toes out. So you lift them off the floor. And then we're going to see if we can get the toes on the ground, but the big toe to lift. And then we'll put the big toe down and see if we can keep the big toe on the floor and lift the other toes off the ground. You might notice that your ankles move around as you do that underneath you. And then place them back down onto the floor. You're just kind of enlivening the feet a little bit. And we're going to start to stretch out the calf muscles a bit more. So we're going to take a little look down, place the ball of the foot onto the corner edges of the mat. Still want the feet to be parallel rather than pointing out. And then just allow yourself to continue to stand in that mountain pose. Now you will feel being pushed forwards a little bit. Try to lean away from that as much as you can. And we get this perfect stretch in the calf muscles. Perfect then is in effective. You might not be considering it perfect. But very long, stubborn muscles down in that lower portion of the leg around the ankle, to the back of the knee. So it's not just the calf muscle, it's a muscle called the soleus muscle as well that we're stretching out. We're going to step back off of that and then just move the block out of the way and have the feet come about hip distance apart and parallel. And we're going to lift up onto tiptoes and then slowly bring the heels back down. And I'll lift up slowly on the breath in and come back down on the exhale. So trying to coordinate the lift up and drop down with the inhale and the exhale. And then we'll just shake out those ankles a little bit. Come back up to the front of the mat, feet are hip distance apart for an arm flow. So inhale the hands up, bring the palms together, and exhale back. Inhale up, I'll let the gaze of my eyes move towards the hands. Exhale down, and let the head drop slowly back down. So shoulders and neck working together. And then we're going to take the hands forward this time. Sit back into the chair. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Extend the body forwards, allowing the legs to open out a little bit. And then the second phase as you exhale down into the fold. Bring the hands onto the hips again, both shoulders back. Let ourselves lift up. Inhale the hands above the shoulders. Soften the knees back into that chair pose. Drawing the belly in. Hands into the heart as you breathe in. Slow exhale out. And folding down. Hands on the hips to the lift. Let's come up high again. Soften into chair. Hands into the heart. Forwards. And fold. Hands onto the hips. Shoulders back. We'll lift. Got another 30 seconds or so. This time we'll bring the hands directly through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take the feet as wide as your shoulders. Come up onto the fingertips. Extend the chest forwards. Drawing the belly in, hips high. And then fold yourself in. And we're going to let the left leg bend a little bit, keeping the right straight. And then we'll cross that over to the opposite side. Just moving very slowly with your breath again. Use the inhale to come up, exhale to cross over. And we'll come back into the center, bring the hands onto the hips again, lift up. Hands high for the last time. Then we'll bring them behind the back, interlacing the hands, drawing the fingers down and the belly in, tailbone down. Fold forwards. And as we come in, we'll let those hands lift towards the sky, squeezing the shoulder blades together a little bit, dropping the head to the floor. See how far those hands will drift towards the front of the mat. Ease the hands back down onto the hips to lift up. So we'll just shake that out a little bit. We'll bring the feet in about hip distance apart again. Inhale high. Hands together through the heart. Exhale to the floor. Come up onto the fingertips. Fold it in. We'll step back into plank. Take a breath. Come into half plank. Inhale up to up dog. down dog. We'll draw the right knee in towards the chest and let ourselves hold in lunge. We'll step forwards, hands onto the hips and we'll lift up. So we'll do the same again. Inhale high. Exhale down to the floor. Come up onto the fingertips. Fold it in. See if you can lead with the opposite leg in your step back and to the down dog. Come forwards into your plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. And we'll draw the left knee in to lunge. And we hold. We'll push off the toes to the forward part of the mat. Bring the hands onto the hips and lift up. So inhale high, hands through the heart. Exhale, hands to the floor, come up onto fingertips. Fold down. Take the right foot to the back of the mat, drop the knee down to the floor. Bring the hands alongside the body and lift up, hands towards the sky. Bring the hands down to the ground. Step it back into plank, half plank, to up dog. Back into down dog. We'll draw the right knee into lunge. And on the exhale, step forwards. Hands onto the hips to lift up. Inhale high. And through the heart and down. Fingertip lift. Fold in. Left foot back. Knee to the floor. Bring the hands alongside the body and then float them forwards and up. Bring them back down to the floor. We'll step back into plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. And we'll draw the left knee into lunge. Exhale forwards. Hands to the hips to lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Come up onto the fingertips. Draw the chest forwards, draw the shoulders back. Soften the knees. As you fold in, bring the hands flat to the floor. We're going to see if we can jump back into plank. Take a little breath, come forwards into half. Inhale for up dog. Come into down dog. Draw the right knee in and through for lunge. Drop the back heel down. Warrior two to lift. float the hands high to the floor, stepping back into plank, half plank, up dog, down dog, left knee comes in for lunge, drop the heel in, warrior two to lift. Float the hands high, down to the floor, plank, half plank, to up dog, to down dog. Now soften the knees, look towards the front of the mat, and see if we can bring a little jump to the front of the mat with two legs. If that doesn't feel like that's going to happen this morning, you can just step them in, normally. But we take a little breath, look to where we want to aim for, and then exhale forwards. Little shuffle for the last bit. Settle into that forward fold. Bring hands over the hips. Lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale. Let's shake it out a little bit. Now slowly take the hands high again. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Fingertips to the lip. Fold it in. Step the right foot back into warrior two. And we'll take humble warrior, bringing the hands behind the back, down towards the floor. Turn the chest and hips forwards. Keep a strong back leg pressing down as we extend over the front side. Take another breath and then fold in a little deeper on the inside of the thigh, taking the hands towards the sky. Keeping the groin over the center line of the mat, lifting towards the back foot. Squeeze the shoulder blades together a little. Bring the hands to the ground. Spin the back heel. Step it into that forward fold. Hands onto the hips. And lift easy. Inhale high. And through the heart. Exhale to the floor. Fingertips. Draw the chest forwards. Try and get it as flat as you can. You have to roll the shoulders back. Take the roundness out of the thoracic. And fold it in. Left foot back. Drop the heel in. Open up into your warrior two. Hands behind the back. Down to the floor. Rotate forwards. Extend out. Take a breath. Fold in. On the exhale, lift. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. The more you continue to squeeze the shoulder blades together, the easier it is to lift the hands towards the sky. So you find more space as the chest opens. Ease the hands to the floor again. Spin the back heel. Step into that forward fold. Hands onto the hips and lift. All the way to the sky. I'll bring the hands through the heart again. On the exhale, down to the floor. And we're just stepping back into plank. press out through the heels. Take a little time to spread little finger and thumb as far apart as they can get. And we'll bring the knees down to the floor directly underneath the hips. And on the exhale, we'll take that right hand up to the sky, out the side for threading the needle. Inhale at the top, bring the hand through, shoulder down to the ground. Inhale it back up again, and fold it through. One last time on this side. And bring hand to the floor. We'll take it to the left. Last time lifting up. And bring the hands to the floor. We'll settle back down onto our elbows and take the legs all the way to the back of the mat. Make sure your chin is going to be able to sit on the mat. Bring hands underneath your chin. Have your feet about hip distance apart. And just wriggle those hips away. Let chin settle, shoulders settle. Now we'll take a little lift from here into Sphinx pose. Pull the shoulders back and lengthen the legs away. We'll release back down to the floor, chin to the ground, take the hands, palms down towards your hips, and take a locust pose. So lift chest and arms, thighs away from the floor, and the feet come with us, hopefully, and then ease our way back down. So inhaling up, crown of the head lengthens. The lift comes from middle back, lower back, and thighs rather than the neck. Try and keep those legs beautifully straight by lengthening out through the toes. We've got 2 more little lifts. Try and use the word delicate in your mind when you do this rather than gross. And you get an idea of where you need to move to, where you don't need to move to. But take the left hand underneath the chin and bend the right knee. You take the hand back and find the toes, and then squeeze gently the heel towards the sitting bone. So draw the shoulder back and elbow skywards. Press the thigh into the floor and lengthen the knee away that it's bending. And then we'll release that foot. Swap the hands over. Bend the opposite leg. Hand back, find eventually a foot. You know it's going to be there somewhere. And then keeping the chest flat to the floor, shoulder draws back, elbow to the sky, heel in towards the sitting bone rather than the outside edge of the sitting bones, the hips. Press the thigh down and lengthen away. So it gives you a little bit extra stretch through the hip flexor and the quads. And we'll release from there. Bring both hands back underneath. Wiggle out the hips a little further, get a little bit more space in the spine. Bend both knees. Take a little breath. Take the hands back. I'll find the ankles this time. Try and keep the thighs relatively parallel. Flex the feet. Let the chest lift. Draw the chest forwards as you did in your locust pose. And then press the shins towards the back of the mat. Keeping the thighs on the floor for 1, 2, 3, and then lift the thighs away by pressing the soles of the feet to the sky. 4, 3, 2, and 1. There's 2 4s there. I forgot to stop on 5. And then release back down. Bring hands in towards the bottom of the ribs. Press away from the floor. We'll just draw the knees one at a time forwards and let ourselves come into child's pose. So relatively close stance for the knees, and then I'm going to bring the hands underneath the forehead. So a little bit easier in the lower back, not coming quite so deep. So respecting the work that happens through the body from forward bending and back bending. And then we'll press into the hands to lift up. Take the feet out to the side. So hopefully you're sitting sort of somewhere to the middle of the mat. Well, I'll just move the block back so that it's relatively close to the side of the mat, midway down for a little bit later on. I'm going to sit up nice and tall and just flex the toes up towards the sky to start with. And then allow the hands to come back about shoulder distance apart, fingers pointing forwards. I'm going to lift the chest towards the sky, roll the shoulders back towards the ground, keep the chin in towards the chest. Okay, we want a nice big spread through the fingers. We're going to slowly start to point the toes forwards, pivoting on the heels. We'll lift the hips away from the ground and try to get a nice line between hips, ankles, and shoulders. And then slowly bring those bottoms back down to the ground. We'll come back up into Dandasana, but we'll take the arms out. So the feet flex back, we lengthen out through the heel. Hands come up towards the sky, above the shoulders. The hands come back down. Take the hands back again, about shoulder distance apart. Same as we did before. We extend the chest towards the sky, roll the shoulders back, nice spread into the fingers. Feet are still lengthening away and flexing. And then we change that to pointing the toes forwards. We pivot, draw the belly in a little bit, lift the hips up. The shoulder blades back and down. Helps if you squeeze the thighs together a little bit as well. Last breath. We'll bring the bottoms back down to the floor. Come back into that Dandasana. We'll slowly cross the ankles over. Bring the heels in. We're going to roll over onto the tabletop. So if you need to come up in a slightly different way, not a problem. We'll move into down dog. Once you arrive, we'll bring the toes onto the center line. So a slight variation. And we're going to take the right leg to the sky. Walk onto the tiptoes. Point the toes of the right foot up towards the ceiling. Try and get the leg as straight, or both legs in fact, as straight as you can. And then bend your right knee, bring the heel in towards your bottom to flex your foot, and we'll take some hip circles. So we'll draw the knee in towards the chest, then we take it out to the side. We'll lift it high, let the hips rotate a little bit out to the side, bring it back in. Number 2. Number 3. 4. And rotating into number 5. And bringing the foot back down to the floor. Come back down onto the knees. Sit back onto the heels. Hands onto the thighs. Let the chest open a little bit. Shoulders relax out. And then we come forwards again. Back into our down dog. Toes on the center line, as we did before. We take the left leg high. Scissor that up. And bend the knee. Flex the foot. Bring the knee into the chest. Take it out to the side for 1. Take it out to the side for 2. For 3. 4. And 5. Foot comes to the floor. Into the plank, knees to the floor. Sit again onto the heels. Now we're going to take a little twist to the right. So we're going to take the left hand out to the right thigh, and we'll bring the right hand around and see if we can touch the hip on the opposite side. Just look at a little over the shoulder. And we'll release and take it over to the second side. So it doesn't matter if the hand doesn't come all the way around the spine and end up on the thigh on the front leg. It's just towards the hip. Focusing a little bit more maybe on drawing the shoulder back gently than we are the rotation. And then we'll release. We're going to use the block again, so we'll take that underneath. Legs out in front. And we'll come into Janu Shirshasana. So once we've wriggled out the buttocks a little bit, we'll bring that right heel in towards the groin, square the hips, make sure that thigh is into the ground. So that press down a little bit. Little bend into the front leg as we flex back, hands onto the shin, lifting up, folding over. Bring the hands down, lift back up. Sounds like it's quite a windy day outside. I can hear things blowing around. So make sure that thighs out to the side is on the ground. We square the hips, put the bend in the knee, bring the hands onto the shin, lift up, fold over. Use the hands to press away from the floor. Lengthen the legs out. We'll take the right foot underneath and come into a fuller version of the seated twist. So we'll take the left foot over. Right arm lifts up. Pelvis tilts forwards. Little counter lever. Release. Take it out to the opposite side. And we can release out of there. We come into Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. We'll have them a decent distance in front of us rather than bringing the heels right into the groin. I'm just going to wriggle the hips out a little bit. And then I'm going to bring the hands onto the shins towards the knees. Sit up tall. And then as I look at the feet, I'm going to try and open the feet up like a book opening up in front of you. You'll notice that that activates your inner groin quite nicely. Sounds like it's going to be really easy and gentle, but it's quite strong, to say the least. You can definitely feel the hips on the outside and the groins. Definitely enjoying the challenge of being asked to open up rather than using some sort of external device or force or enormous amounts of gravity. And just notice the buttocks kind of lift as well. So everything is engaged. There's nothing passive about the pose. We get about another 5 breaths here. My legs are starting to tremble. And we finish. Ooh, great, bring them back in. And we're going to come down onto the floor for a little spinal twist and then Shavasana. So, knees high, use the hands to roll yourself down, make sure the block is under the head, not into the neck. Wriggle the spine and the shoulders out, bring the heels in towards your bottom. Get the hands out crucifix style. And we're just going to roll directly over to the right side. So quite often we talk about the shimmy. Today we are shimmyless. And seeing where we get to. And just letting those legs relax. Shoulders soften, hands release as well. Jaw softens, everything gradually just turning itself back into passive, yielding to the floor. And we'll bring the knees slowly back up on the exhale. Realign. Take it over to side B. Just observing how it feels in the body. Does it feel similar or different? Do you have a side that you prefer to maybe go to? Do you find it easier to relax on one side than the other? Just observations. Bring ourselves back into the center. Let the hands come a little closer into the body. And slide the heels out to the corner edges of the mat. I'm going to bring the right hand lower below the belly button, left hand above. Elbows still on the ground. Eyes are closed. Jaw is soft. Just let everything sink down in those exhales. And we'll gently start to wriggle the toes, fingers, breathe in a little deeper. Enjoy a big stretch out. Ease the heels in towards the bottom. Take a little bit of a hug. And then roll gently onto the right side. Take a breath at the bottom. And then exhale to lift. Swing it around into seated posture of choice. Sit tall. Bring the hands towards your heart as you breathe in, closing your eyes. Letting the chin drop. We bow to the floor, drawing the belly in. Feeling our practice in the morning. Inhaling back up, and spine lift naturally. Head follows, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me this Easter Monday. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the mat soon.